We are now joined by Wichita State student athletes Ron Baker, Connor Frankamp, and Fred Van Fleet, along with head coach Greg Marshall. And Coach Marshall, would you please make an opening statement?
Yes. A tremendous amount of respect for Sean and the job he does at Arizona. And also, Ron and Fred were able to spend some time with Tarczewski, and when you watch York on film, those guys are great players, but they're more importantly, they're great people. And I hate to see those guys lose. I really like Sean and his program, and because of how they play, and they play the right way. But it was our night. Our defense carried the way, and to beat a team like Arizona the way we did is just a testament to these young men to my right, and their toughness, their resolve, their determination, and their ability to get in a defensive stance each and every possession and make the right reads and the right slides and the right rotations and hold a team like that to 55.
We will now open up to questions for the student athletes only. Again, please identify yourself and your media organization. Question for the student athletes.
Sean Flynn, Breitbart. Questions for Ron. Could you talk about the player development at Wichita State and the things that you guys have done and skill development over the years that have changed you and changed the guys around you?
Well, coming in, I was always a guy that tried to push myself to get better, and that definitely helps. But then when you get with a group of guys that like to push you as a teammate, that helps. And then you get coaches that I have that push you in different drills and different skill developments in the off season, and it really gets your confidence as a player up to a new level. And that's when you start becoming a true player, and that's definitely what I've gotten since I've been at Wichita State.
More questions right up here.
Paul Sollentrop, Wichita Eagle. Fred, they average 81 points a game. You held them to 55. Just kind of take us through the defensive effort and why you're able to be so effective.
It's big time effort, big time game plan. We're talking about coaches that are skipping sleep and really just locking in this time of year and putting everything that we got into one common goal. I think disrupting their timing was big. I thought our bigs did a great job of pushing some of those guys out. I mean, they're huge, so when they catch it, you want them as far away from the basket as possible. Obviously, I was able to have some success early in terms of just being around the ball, being able to make a play, and helping guys out a little bit, trying to disrupt their timing and just trying to make it tough on them.
More questions for the student athletes? Okay, go right here again.
Yeah, Fred, when you're doubling, how much of that is just strictly part of the plan, and how much of it is you just, with a feel?
I mean, most of it is in the game plan. When it's in the post, that's all the coaches and just me trusting my teammates that are going to help me when they kick it out. A couple of times I just made some plays and got lucky. The one when Trier drove it, I think I just made a break on the ball and was able to come up with it. So just trying to be aggressive, and like I said, if I was a big guy, I would not want to guard those guys down there by myself. So I was thinking about that and just trying to give them as much help as possible and just make it tough on the other team. And just, talking about 81 points, a lot of that is timing and feel good. And I know on our end, it's always tough when a team is out pressuring and denying, trying to disrupt your timing. So just try to get that into the game.
You have a question in front.
Bill Koch with the Providence Journal. Connor, the bench tonight, 27-8 advantage. I think you and Marquise were a plus 30 combined in the minutes that you played. How important was that contribution to this win?
It was very important. The starters got out to a good lead, and we always try to come in and try to push the lead up and play hard. And Marcus had a great game, and the starters came out and started the game really well for us.
Any more questions for the student athletes in front?
Fred, I know you said you got to have guys step up in March, and a lot of guys have in these two games. Did you see that coming, that building with some of these guys, that they were going to be ready?
Yeah, I mean, it's just sometimes just the way it happens. Obviously, you would have liked to have it a lot earlier in the season, but we went through what we went through, all the adversity throughout the year. It's been a hard-fought year, and you know, when our names popped up Selection Sunday, it was, like I said, just a breath of fresh air, and we could put all that behind us. And these guys have been huge both games. Connor, Marcus, you're talking about Shaq, Rono, Nerger, Zach Brown, all young guys that have been playing a huge role. Rashard Kelly as well. I think he took 2 or 3 charges tonight. So it's going to take more than me and Ron to be able to get these wins. And the last 2 games we've been able to do that. So give these guys a ton of credit.
Are there any more questions? Right up in front here.
John Kikis with the Associated Press. Ron, what did you think when Sean Miller called timeout in the first minute with you guys diving on the floor? Did you feel like that was an omen of what was going to happen?
I was kind of surprised he called timeout early, but then I realized he was trying to avoid a 10-second count. He got the timeout with the ball on the baseline to get a new 10. But that was kind of a statement from the go that we were going to start the game playing hard and finish the same way.
Okay. Last question, right here.
Bill Koch with the Providence Journal. Ron, they went about 10 minutes without a field goal there in the first half. When you're playing possession by possession, are you guys conscious of the fact that they haven't scored in a long time and they haven't put the ball in the basket for a long time?
As a player, the game goes so quick, you don't even think about that. You try your best to put your feet in the court and get stops. A lot of times, as you saw, we don't shoot the ball as well from 3 as we want to. So a lot of our offense comes from our defense, and today our guys at the rim were altering shots, and we were keeping them off the glass early on in that 10-minute span, and we were getting good looks on the offensive end because of our defense.
Okay, thank you. We'll now send these student athletes back to the locker room. Thank you.
Good job, man. There's a dime tomorrow. Thanks.
We will now open up for questions with Coach Marshall. Questions? Question over here.
Sean Flynn, Breitbart. Coach Marshall, can you talk about, same question I asked Ron, skill development specifically with someone like Ron in the 5 years there and where you rank skill development along with recruiting and schemes at a place like Wichita State in order to do what you do?
Well, we don't normally get the 5-star or even 4-star recruits. I mean, we're starting to get a few. Marcus McDuffie was very highly rated. Connor Frankamp, as a transfer from Kansas, was a top 100 guy. Landry Shamet, who will seek a medical red shirt after only playing 3 games this year and breaking his foot, was another top 100. So all of a sudden our success is helping us land some more coveted players coming in, but the stars really don't matter to us. We try to get guys that want to be part of something bigger than themselves, are willing to put the time in skill development, body development by getting in the weight room with our strength and conditioning coach, Kerry Rosenboom, who does a tremendous job, and buying into falling in love with, if you will, the process of becoming great. And these guys are very coachable. They're everyday guys, and they work extremely hard, and then they also listen and execute a game plan very well, because they understand that we're going to be a little undersized more than likely, give up a few pounds, a few inches, but it's hard to measure what's inside a young man in terms of his heart. And very rarely do we get pushed around in that category. Yeah, my wife and I were laughing on the trip up here. Someone posted a picture of him from his Scott City days, his senior year, and he actually had a perm. He had curly, really curly hair. His hair's naturally curly, but this was really curly, like an afro curly, and his arms were about as big around as this cup, and but he's got broad shoulders, and he's got big hands. He's country strong is what I say, and he's developed his body, and he puts on a defensive clinic. Mr. Roby from the NCAA selection committee from Northeastern is obviously a basketball guy, and he paid Ron a beautiful compliment as I was walking off the court. He goes, "Ron Baker's never in the wrong position. Ron Baker is one of the hardest working defenders I've ever seen." And then you add Fred Van Vliet to that, 5 steals tonight. You got a pretty good defensive backcourt, and that's, obviously we're not the most beautiful team offensively, but they more than hold their own defensively.
More questions? Go right in front.
Paul Salentrop, Wichita Eagle. Greg, you're going to take us to the game plan against their big men. They were obviously going to pound it inside, and you were able to be pretty effective against them.
Yeah, our goal was to try to deny them the ball as much as we could. Again, Tarzewski's huge. He ends up with 2 baskets, only 3 shots. We fouled him quite a number of times when he was able to get the rebound, because he's so big and physical and strong and works hard to gain that positive position. Anderson has 4 field goals and 8 baskets. He does not get his double-double tonight. He goes for 11 and 8. And then Ristic has 1 basket. So we gave up 7 baskets to those 3 guys, a total of 18 points, and that's what Anderson averages himself on a regular season. So our post players did a great job, starting with I think Rono Nerger probably did the best job. Bush Wamakota did a good job. Shaq did a great job. He blocked some shots for us tonight. He had 2 blocks. Tonight was not the night for Anton Grady, even though he did score a couple of baskets, or at least 1 basket for sure. But he struggled with their size. But, he played well against Vandy, so hopefully he'll play well again against Miami.
And we had a question right here.
Hey, Coach.
Please
Coach
identify where you're from and your
Emily
and your name.
Gagnon, KSN out of Wichita. Coach Martin just said if he had a message for Fred VanVleet, he would say, please don't let anyone tell you can't play in the NBA. Now, you just said there was a compliment given about Ron. That's a heck of a compliment from a coach to Fred.
Who said that?
Coach Martin. Oh, Miller. I apologize.
Coach Miller.
That he cannot. He says don't let anyone say he can't play in the NBA. Well, I hope both of them play in the NBA. I mean, I've said it all along. They just need the right program, the right. They need to go to a program that appreciates winners, and they'll find a place. Like Coach Miller had a guy by the name of T.J. McConnell last year. I think it was McConnell, and he's in the NBA right now. And he started at Duquesne, transferred, had a great career, and he's doing work as a rookie in the league. And if I think Fred is similar. Sean would obviously know. He played at a high level. And I don't know how long he played in the NBA or if he played in the NBA, but I know he's a great college player at Pitt. And these guys are going to go somewhere if they get the right opportunity and the right situation. The more you watch them, the more you practice with them, the more you see them do the right thing every day, every way. They'll wear on you, and ultimately they'll get on the floor, and then you'll see the scoreboard go in the right direction and the win column improve, and then someone will give them a second contract.
Questions? Did you have a question, Bill?
Bill Koch with the Providence Journal. Coach, you're now 9-3 in your last 4 trips to the NCAA. That's the same record as Michigan State and Wisconsin, and it's 1 game behind Duke, who's 10-2. What does it say about your program to be keeping that sort of company?
Especially with the seedings that we normally get. We get Kentucky when we're 1 as an 8, and this year we're 11B, and we go to Dayton, and last year we were 7. Probably should have been a 4 or 5, but it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter once you get in the tournament. It's all about the team that you're playing, not the number in front of it. And that's what I love about the NCAA tournament. That's what our players love, because we get an opportunity to play in Arizona. Unless we play them in an exempt tournament, we're not going to get a chance to play in Arizona. We would love to play in Arizona, home and home, on a yearly basis, because I think it would obviously make us better, and Sean would have to determine if it would make his team better. But we know that to play teams like that in the NCAA tournament, you have to give it everything you've got, and our guys do that every single possession. I mean, I was so pleased with how we got back in transition tonight. We sprinted back after we missed, and we missed a lot of shots. I mean, we missed 35 field goal attempts, but rarely did they push it and lay it in or dunk it in transition. We were able to get back, get our butts to the baseline, and support that basketball and keep them from getting in the paint.
We have time for one more question. Paul?
Paul Stolentrop, Wichita Eagle. They kind of made, I guess, their last run. They cut it down to 13. You called timeout, up 53-40. How much of that was to regroup, and how much it was just to kind of, rest a little bit? I don't know how much you were worried about fatigue, during that second half.
Our guys played a lot of minutes. 34 is a lot of minutes for Fred and 32 for Ron, and when they play 34, 32 minutes, that's big time minutes because of the effort that they expend on both ends. So, I just didn't want it to get too much lower. They had made a nice run, and we needed to get the ball in bounds first of all and get it up the court and get organized and run some clock, and then hopefully either get fouled or do something at the end of the clock. We needed to talk about time and score at that point. And, I had timeouts to burn. I think I had a couple still left at the end of the game.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you Saturday.